Hi guys, how are you? My name is Vivi Benitez. I'm here with Shawn. I'm so happy, Shawn, that you're here with me. My first interview in English. My podcast called Vivi No Filter. I want you guys subscribe, and I hope you guys enjoy, of course. And my English is not perfect, so please. So I want to say thank you for all my sponsors. The first one I want to talk about Edivania. She's a realtor. The second one is Klee. She have a jewelry store. Eliana, she have a fashion store. Everything's from Brazil. And my makeup stylist is Jaqueline. So thank you so much for everybody. Plus this guy.
Vivi. How are you?
We
said it at the same time.
So thank you so much for being here with me.
Absolutely.
Because I know Shawn for almost 2 years, and I asked him if he come to my podcast because I want he teach us how to pay taxes in the United States, because a lot of people is from Brazil, a lot of Spanish people, we don't know too much about that. And this is a really good I think we have to talk about that, because this is very important in the United States. We come from another countries, and other countries we don't pay too much. We don't pay that.
Yes. Well, first, I wanted to congratulate you. First, thank you
so
for having me. One of the fastest growing podcasts in the Brazilian community. So congratulations on that success.
Thank you.
Very good to see you doing what God has created you to do. So this is actually really cool for me to see, because I know you have other businesses and you do other things, but I think this is the one that you like the most.
Yes, I do. You're right.
Awesome.
I like it. So I'm so happy to talk to you about that, because this is really is very important, right? Like I say. So I'm gonna ask you like couple questions,
Sure.
like 10, 12 questions that I think is the most important to know. And my first one is, why do you have to pay taxes, and for what?
That is a great question. And you don't have to pay taxes. We get to pay taxes. It's important. Yes, this is tax season right now. As everybody knows, they're doing their taxes. They're waiting on their refunds. Not everybody gets a refund. A lot of people also owe money. So in terms of why do we have to pay taxes, taxes are important because it funds a lot of government programs. It funds municipalities building more roads, building streets. It also helps funding school projects that the government comes up with to build more schools, and also for university funds and things like that. And it also helps with Social Security and the older community, that those taxes go to help them when they get to retirement age. So like you and I both, when we get to be in retirement age, the people that are paying the taxes will also be paying it forward to us. So there's a lot of different reasons to pay taxes, but those are some of the most common reasons why we're supposed to pay tax. And everybody contributes out of their paycheck. There's a percentage or a portion of their tax, of their earnings, that goes to pay taxes. If you make less than $10,000 a year, typically that's around the amount of money, you really don't have to pay taxes. But if you make more than that, then yes, you are responsible for paying those taxes that come out of your earnings or your income where you work.
Okay. All right. When are taxes due?
That's a good question. And there's a lot of misconception about when taxes are due. So right now, you have until April 17th to file your taxes if you owe money. So typically people that owe money are anyone that have a business like yourself, people that are 1099 employers, or they're considered contractors, typically will owe money at the end of the year. So the IRS gives them until April 17th to file those taxes if they owe money. Now, if they don't have the money to pay those taxes, then they can simply file something called an extension. An extension will give you 6 more months to save the money to pay the taxes. So typically around October 15th is the amount of time that you have if you owe money. But if you receive money, if you get back refunds, you can file anytime throughout the year. A lot of people don't know that. They think, I have to file my taxes by April 15th or I won't receive my refund. No, that's not true. You have the entire year to file your taxes if you're going to receive a refund. But most people do file by April 17th if they're going to be receiving money back.
So how this work? Like, if they know, like they have the whole year, right?
Mm-hmm.
For they receive this money back.
Yes.
How this work? How they can call somewhere?
Yeah. Typically, they can call an accountant. They can call a tax preparer. They can give them the information, and they can have an idea of what they're going to owe if they're going to owe money. And that'll give them enough time to prepare. Okay, I have until October to come up with this amount of money so I can pay my taxes. If you don't file the extension, then you can have late fees and interest added on to what you owe. So it is very important to get your taxes filed by the 17th. If you don't file an extension. And if you don't file an extension, you will pay late fees and penalties, and nobody wants to give more money to the IRS, of course.
Yeah, sure. Who is supposed to file taxes in the United States?
So anyone that has a social security number, let's start there, is supposed to file taxes. And then if they have something called earned income. So if you are in the workforce, if you're in the workplace and you file a 1040, which is a tax return, and you get a W-2, that is going to be something that you need to file. If you're a contractor, you'll be issued a 1099, and that'll state the income and the earnings that you made throughout the year, and you'll also need to file that. So really, a good way to just know if you need to file is if you had a job and you worked somewhere, then you need to file your taxes.
Okay, but if for these people, they from another country, they come here from another country, the community like from Brazil, the Brazilian community or Spanish, whatever.
Sure.
They don't have Social Security. How they cannot file taxes?
So in that case, typically if someone is here from another country, Brazil, Cuba, Colombia, they would get issued something called an I-10. And it's a independent tax preparer identification number. And it's like a social security number, but they can use it to report earnings. And it's in their benefit to do that, because if they ever want to buy a house, if they ever want to qualify for a loan, whether an auto loan or a personal loan, typically the bank is going to want documents to show how much money they made throughout the year. So the I-10 will show how much money they made throughout the year. So they won't get all the tax benefits that someone with a social security number would get, but it is in their best interest to file it, and they will get some money back also at the end of the year if they have dependents and things like that.
Great. Why should I file my taxes with a tax professional when I can do myself on TurboTax?
Yes, that is a great question, and a lot of people they think that they can get more money if they file their taxes on their own, or they think that they can magically make numbers appear that really aren't numbers for them. In other words, if I'm home and I'm doing my taxes, I can put whatever information I want because I'm doing it myself. A tax professional is trained to know what credits you can get and what things you can qualify for. So I never advise for somebody to do their own taxes, because the first thing that the IRS is going to look at when they receive your taxes is who prepared that return. So if you prepared the return, you're going to want all the advantage for yourself because you prepared the return by yourself. If a tax professional did the return, then that takes the responsibility off of you if there's a mistake or if something is not right. Now they will look at the tax preparer and say, hey, you have a mistake here, or this is wrong, or this is wrong. So you didn't do anything wrong. The tax preparer would be responsible. The other reason you want to use a tax preparer or an accountant instead of yourself is because there's money that you could be leaving on the table because of a credit you weren't aware of that you could qualify for. Or if you owe money, you could be costing yourself a lot of money because you prepared them yourselves and there was deductions or write-offs that you didn't know existed. So I have a client, for instance, he came to me and said, Shawn, I just prepared my taxes. I owe $32,000 to the IRS. Can you help me? And I said, well, how do you know you owed $32,000? Well, because I was home on the TurboTax and I did it. And that's what the TurboTax said that I owed. I said, okay, great. Send me all your information. Let me see if $32,000 is correct or I can get less money that you owe to the IRS. So it took me about a day or two. I came back and I said, hey, Mr. Jones, I don't want to say his name. I see not $32,000. I see you owe $2,000.
Wow.
That's exactly what he said. Wow. How do you do that? And I said, well, because there's a lot of things that I know you could write off based on the information that you sent me that you weren't aware of. Oh, I'm so glad I found you. I'm so glad that I had you look at this because if not, I was going to have to write a check for $32,000 to the IRS. And I said, yes, I'm glad you called me. So now he's writing a check for $2,000 instead of $32,000. And Vivi, there's so many people in that situation. Maybe they don't owe $32,000. Maybe they owe $1,000. And that's a lot of money for some people. $1,000. Where am I going to come up with that money? And then if you don't pay it, that turns into late fees and interest. And now you owing $1,000 turns into $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. But if they would have went to a tax preparer, maybe there was something that they missed that a tax preparer could have found. And now instead of owing $1,000, they could be getting a refund of $500 or maybe owing zero. So that's why it's very important to let a tax professional look at the taxes. Don't try to do it yourself at TurboTax or any other
and
online
it's too much.
tax.
Sometimes we look at it and say, "Oh, myself, I don't do for myself. I always have somebody do for me."
Yeah, that's smart.
So do I? This is a great question. Do I need to report my cash income on Zelle or Cash App?
That is one of the things that everybody wanted to know this year because, as you know, small business is growing in the United States. I have a small business. You have a small business.
Yes. And I know a lot of people, they have a small business. And I always ask myself, too.
Yes. A lot of people have small businesses now. It could be somebody washing cars, somebody that rents cars, for instance. There's so many people that have small businesses now. And now the banks have made it very easy for them to accept payments through Zelle, PayPal, Cash App, Square. I mean, there's so many now that I don't know every single one, but they make it very easy. So this year, the IRS had come out in November and said that anyone that received more than $700 in payments was going to have to pay tax on that. Everybody was scared. What are you talking about? That's crazy. I go to dinner and people Cash App me, and throughout the course of the year, it's over $700. So now I have to pay tax on that. So there was a lot of confusion. A lot of people were very scared about that. But then the IRS came out in December, thank you, Lord, and they said, okay, we're not going to do that. We're going to stop that. We won't do it. But next year we'll let you know. So the IRS is looking at a way that how they can get this money and tax it because it's not being reported on any documents. So hundreds of thousands of dollars are being moved back and forth. And of course, the IRS wants to tax that money and get their share of it. So as of right now, they have not come out with a rule on how you have to report this money on Cash App that you receive or Zelle. But next year, I'm sure that they will pass a law and ask for a form or something to show that you receive this cash income is what they're calling it and tax it.
Okay. So how can someone file taxes if they only have cash income and have kids?
That's another good question. The rule of thumb is if you have cash income, don't report it. Don't say anything to the IRS about it because you'll have to pay tax on that. And while that is true in some cases, it doesn't hold true for people that are low income. And when I say low income, I'm talking about anyone that's made less than maybe $15,000 for the year. So here's a perfect example. I have a client. She braids hair and does lashes on the side. She has 2 kids. She does not work at any business or any company, so she does not have a W-2. And so she just gets cash income. But she makes only between $8,000 and $10,000 for the year total. Okay, she has other means of supporting herself and things like that through family. But in terms of receiving cash income, you can calculate it to be about $10,000 for the year. Well, the government has a program that gives you something called earned income credit. An earned income credit is $1,000 extra they give you for people that have low income to help them. In addition to the earned income credit, you also get child tax credit. And the maximum amount for child tax credit this year is $2,000. So with 2 children, she gets maximum child tax credit plus her earned income credit, which she would qualify because she's considered low income. So for someone in that situation, they would want to disclose that they made $10,000 for the year, and that will benefit them in receiving back a refund during tax season.
Okay. Why do we have to pay taxes? No, these questions I already did. I'm sorry. Why were taxes payer funds so low this year compared to the last 2 years?
That is the number one question this year. All of my clients call me screaming, why is my refund so low this year? Last year I got $10,000. The year before I got $8,000. And the reason is COVID. So the last 2 years, the government gave us money and extra money because of COVID. A lot of people were out of work. A lot of people weren't able to work because of the COVID-19. So last year, the government had the child tax credit. I believe it was at $3,250 per child. This year, they put it back to $2,000. So that's one of the reasons everyone's refund was so low if they had kids. The other reason is that they took away the advance for the child tax credit. So last year, they advanced taxpayers 6 months of the child tax credit, and that was also included in the refunds for last year. And then the third reason is the stimulus. Do you remember the stimulus? They gave everyone free money. Would you get
I have
some?
it.
Okay, you got, I had some of that too.
Yeah.
If
much?
If you didn't,
How much?
I don't remember.
You remember. I don't know what to say.
If you got the stimulus, then that was, if you did not get the stimulus, it was included in your refund. You just had to say you didn't get it, which one, and they included it in your refund. So some people didn't get any of the stimuluses. So that was also included in their refund. So people last year were getting $12,000, $13,000 refunds, but not this year. So everyone is trying to compare last year to this year. And unfortunately, you really can't compare them because we underwent a very bad pandemic, which affected a lot of people. But the government helped as much as they could by giving extra money to people in their taxes. But this year, that's gone. We don't have to wear masks anymore.
Yeah.
We're alive, and we're doing no filter podcasts.
Yeah. What happened if I don't file my taxes by April 17?
Oh my gosh, Vivi, we're going to go to prison. You
Woo!
and I, we're
Oh my
going.
God.
They're going to come get us any minute. Unfortunately, that's a joke, but that is true in some cases for people that have not filed for many, many years, and they think
How
that
long?
they're going to get away.
How many years? This is the question that I want to know. Like, some people say if you don't pay taxes for 10 years, for 3 years, for 40 years. It's true?
I think it depends on how much you
owed.
owe.
Yeah,
I mean,
owe.
somebody that maybe owe very little, I don't know, if they're going to knock on their door and take them. But, there are other people that have owe hundreds of thousands of dollars. And yes, they do knock on their door, and they go to jail. I mean, they go to prison. There's a process for that, of course, like anything. But at the end of the day, if they don't have tax returns showing that they paid their taxes on the income that they received, then there's very little that they can do. The IRS is
so
just,
doesn't matter how
much
they owe.
Yeah, I would say both have to come in it factor in both how much you would owe, and then how many years you haven't filed. So yeah, that's something that they do look at. It's a scary thing, I know, but people, it is a reality. I know people that are in jail because they didn't report their taxes. So it's an unfortunate thing, but that's why we're doing a podcast talking about IRS and how important it is to pay your taxes.
Here in America is really, really this is really tough because in other countries, oh my God.
Happy times, yeah. Taxes. What are taxes?
Here, no. Here they don't play games. Welcome to America.
Yeah, you want to come to America?
Yeah, come to America. Let me see how long.
Pay your taxes, though.
I always say to my friends, you guys have to be very strong because here the law is really, the law really works.
Sure, yeah.
Because in other countries, here the taxes, they don't play games. So what are some ways that I can get more money back on my taxes?
Yes, that's what everybody wants to know. How can I get more money back on my taxes?
I want to know right now.
There's only a few ways, Vivi. There's no magic to that. The numbers are the numbers. I always tell my clients, because they ask me the same thing, when you go to work and you're going to fill out your paperwork, you always want them to take out the most taxes for each check that you get, because that's kind of like a savings account, right? At the end of tax season, you'll get a majority of that money back. So that's one way. You want them to take the most out. Yes, I know, but I can't afford if they do. Okay, well, it's one or the other. Then you're going to get it in each check, or you're going to get it at the end of the year. One or the other. Another way is have some kids, because kids under the age of 17, you get the child tax credit. So I joke with my single guys and my single clients out there, and how can I get more taxes? Have some kids. Oh really? So they can get money back with children, of course. Education is another credit that you can get. So if you, doesn't matter how old you are, if you decide to go back to school and enroll in college or some courses, you can get some good tax credit back at the end of the year for that. I think it's about $1,000 you can get back. So enroll in school and take some online courses if you want to get some money back at the end of the year. But those are really the main ways to get money back on your tax refund. So tax you paid in, have some kids, or education.
Have some kids, Shawn, please.
Kids. I know. I need to have some more kids. All my kids are older. I don't get tax credit for them anymore.
No more, right?
No.
Shawn, this is a personal question. If I want to buy a house next year, right? And last year I pay low taxes. How I can figure it out? How I can, because they say, Vivian, if your taxes for last year is very low, you can balance, you can put a little bit more on your next taxes.
So that's a tricky question, because I have clients that ask me that same question. So what I do is I tell them, especially ones that own their own business, because we never want to disclose what we really make, right? We always want to put a little bit on paper. So when you put a little bit on paper, it's fine, and you're going to pay less tax for that, right? But if you ever want to buy a house or get a loan, well, what's the first thing they ask? How much money do you make? Because based on how much money you make is going to determine how much of a house you can afford. So if you know in the future that you're going to definitely buy a house, and that is your dream to buy a house, and you know that that time is going to come soon, then you want to disclose as much money as possible on your taxes. So when the bank sees that, they'll say, oh, wow, okay, this person does very well. They can afford $1 million house, let's say. Doesn't mean that you want to buy $1 million house, but you know you can afford up to $1 million house. The bank will give you a loan for $1 million. If you disclose on your taxes that you made $30,000 for the year, you're probably not going to get a loan for $1 million. You're going to probably qualify for a loan of $200,000, let's say. So that's a self decision that anybody needs to make, that you would need to make, is how much you want to disclose on your taxes. And that's one way to qualify for a mortgage. I'm not a mortgage broker. The other way is they look at your bank statements and what you deposit every month, and they can give you a loan based on that. And I think those are really the two ways that you would be approved for a loan.
Okay. How let me see here. How does your company work with filing taxes?
That's a great question, and I don't even know the answer to that question. No, I'm just kidding. So our company is United Tax Help. We do taxes very uniquely. We do them across the country in all 50 states, and we do everything over the phone. So everything is done over the phone. You speak with one of our tax professionals. They send you a text message to your phone to take pictures of your documents, your ID, your W-2s, whatever tax documents you have to file. Once our agent gets those documents, they then input the information into the software, and then they'll ask you some other questions on how to find you more money. If you owe money, they're going to ask you a lot of questions to see how they can get that down for you to owe less. And that's what our agents do. They go through a training process to ask those questions because they want you to become a customer for every year. So if you know that tax agent is doing a good job for you, and getting you every money that he can get you, or paying as less as you can possibly pay, then you're going to continue to come back to that agent every year. So that's how our company works. We have agents that are in the office year round. A lot of tax offices, I won't name the other companies, but they leave after April 17th. So if you need your tax documents, if you have questions, if you forgot something, it's very difficult to find somebody in those offices. But our office, we always have somebody there. You can call. We upload all the documents online. So if you ever need your tax return for any reason, it's always there in our safe, secured site. And that's how we work. We have been doing it for about 7 years now. And
you work with taxes for 7 years.
We've been doing it 7 years. Yes. Yeah.
And you how work with people is easy? Of course
Vivi,
not.
it's so easy to work with people.
Seriously?
Everybody's happy. Everybody has nice things to say. No. Everybody's different. Everybody has different personalities. So when you deal with people that have different personalities, you have to try to match or mirror their personality as well. And we train our agents how to do that. You know, if you're from New York and you're talking to somebody from Kentucky, you don't want to talk like this a little bit. So you know what I mean? You don't want to sound like you're from New York, because somebody from New York is not going to relate to somebody from Kentucky. So we try to train our agents. Because it's just different. In Brazil, if you're from Rio de Janeiro, okay, and you speak in...
Why you guys know only Rio de Janeiro?
Because isn't that the capital of Brazil?
No.
Oh, it's not. I'm sorry. I didn't know.
No, it's a capital for party.
Oh, okay.
Party
capital. All right. Anybody from Brazil, let's say Rio de Janeiro, and where are you from?
Porto Alegre, South Brazil.
So and again, I don't know, I'm just using Brazil because you're from Brazil.
Okay.
If they start talking to each other right away, are they going to understand each other, or is like a different accent from where you're at in there? Same thing here. Somebody from Kentucky doesn't talk like somebody from New York and is ready to do business and let's go. We're going to do this. We're going to do that.
Let's make money.
Yeah, whoa. I'm from Kentucky. Slow down, son.
Yeah.
So it's just different. And because we service all 50 states, sometimes you have to, juggle balls and be different for all people so they understand.
Tell me something happened to you. What happened to you when the clients be really upset on the phone and stuff?
Clients can be upset for reasons that they think they know, but they don't know. So here's a good example. Typically, the number one reason, and this is not just our company, this is any tax office in the United States, H&R Block, Jackson Hewitt, wherever. I file your taxes. Okay, Vivi, you're getting $5,000 back. Great. I love you. You're the best, Shawn. Kiss, kiss, kiss. 3 weeks later, you get a deposit in your bank account for $1,000. You're not happy. You woke up, you checked your account.
But you told me 5,000.
Yes, exactly. So what we do is we go to the computer. You're already mad. You're calling me. You're upset. You told me 5,000. I woke up this morning, 1,000. All right, Vivi, let's look and see what happened. So the first place we go is the IRS website, and we want to see when they sent your refund and what happened. So typically when we go online and we look and we see Vivi Benitez had a $5,000 refund, but we only sent $1,000 of that and kept $4,000 because of a past due obligation. Past due obligation could be you had student loans that you didn't pay, child support that you didn't pay, or some other government type of subsidy that you benefited from that you never paid back. Another popular one that I'm seeing this, especially in Florida, is first-time home buyer. So in Florida, you got a first-time home buyer. The government gave you money to buy a home. I think it was up to $7,000 if I'm not mistaken. But you had to pay that back, and a lot of people never paid it back. So how does the government get their money back? Guaranteed? By your tax return. They will take your tax return. And so
Probably the guy owed money for
something happened that he owed
happened.
money. And 9 times out of 10, that's why people don't get their entire refund, is because they owed money. The IRS is always going to get their money back. However, as long as you're working, they will get their money back. You stop working, they can't get their money back. But if you're working and you owe child support, or you owe a student loan, or you owe some sort of government program that they gave you money, they will get their money back. And typically it's on the taxes. So when I tell you, Vivi, you got a first-time home buyer for $4,000.
How did I know?
How did they know?
I know if I want to do, if you
owe?
Yeah.
The IRS has a number you can call, and they will tell you if you owe. It's called the garnishment hotline.
So people go there and check if everything is okay.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Right?
But regardless if it is or it isn't, it's still there. And
But they can know if they go through the link or the
Yeah,
website,
yes.
the website, right?
Yes.
They can find out.
Yes. Yes.
This is a good idea. So you
Sure.
see,
See? Call.
Call.
Research.
Call
Find out
right
if you
now.
owe money. It's important to you to know that.
exactly. So Shawn, and if somebody want to work with you next year, because this is Shawn have a business and he train people to how to work with taxes and how you can do how people can find you or how this works.
Sure. I mean, usually word of mouth is a great way. So things like this and getting out the word on what we do. We offer paid training. We train all of our clients. We train all of our agents on how to be tax preparers. So it's about a 2-week training process, and then we bring them into the company.
And you pay for the training,
And we
right?
pay for the training, yep. Yeah,
nice.
we pay for the training. So if they want to find out or they're interested in a career for a tax preparer, they simply can just contact me. I'm very big on TikTok. I don't know if you know that or not.
I know. He's very big on TikTok.
Huge.
So
I'm the hottest thing going on TikTok.
oh my God, he have 1 billion followers.
Yeah, a
No,
little
but
less
he
than that.
he have a lot of followers. But Shawn, if somebody, I know people work with you last year, and now they have their own business.
Sure.
This is really good because you teach them how to build their own business later, right?
Absolutely. That's the model that we like to use. We like to bring in people, we like to train them, and we like to coach them in a way that they can open up their own tax office and be successful and duplicate what we do. So for the right person, we will invest in that person to have their own tax office. They use all of the tools that we give them to use, and they can start and continue to build their office and do the same thing that we did when we first brought them on and open up their own tax offices. And that's what we like to do. We like to invest in the right people, because if you invest in the right people, that's how you grow. You don't grow from within, you grow from investing in other people. And that's what we typically do. And we've been doing it now for the last 6 years.
And how long these people can work a year? Because I hear they work for a couple months. They don't work all year, right?
Yeah, normally accountants and tax preparers, they're seasonal workers. They can make enough money to sustain themselves throughout the course of 7 months when tax season's over, if they budget right. And they can, it's a great career. You're helping
but
people.
they can work all year too, right?
They can. Yeah, there's different types of taxes that they can do.
I know.
Sure.
Some people, they work, they work
absolutely.
all year.
Yeah, they can. There's other taxes they can do.
Yeah, some taxes work only 4 months.
Correct. Most, yeah.
You?
Me?
Yeah.
I work 4 months.
You're lucky.
I live in Florida. We have to enjoy this beautiful beach and weather.
Yeah, you
That's
live
why we live
in
here.
Rio de Janeiro from United States.
Exactly. Yes. I'm an island boy.
Yeah. You born here?
I was born in Florida, born and raised.
Where?
In West Palm Beach, Florida.
But you Italian.
Yeah. Does that mean I can't be born in Florida?
No. I just joke with you. But your parents is...
Yeah, parents are Colombian and dad Italian. So I grew up eating very well and learning about a lot of things in terms of passion, because Italian people are very passionate about food, about cars, about clothes, everything, travel, women. And Spanish people are the same. Colombians are very passionate about their culture. They're very passionate about their food. They're very passionate about their fashion and the way they look. So those two cultures combined, you grow up in an environment and a culture that, you become very passionate about everything that you do. I mean, that's why I'm so passionate.
And in Florida, yeah, you're right. You the way you talk is like, you're very, right, I know.
And we're talking about taxes. That's like the boringest thing in the world. Taxes.
Taxes.
And we're making it sexy.
Yeah.
We're no filtered taxes.
Yes. He say everything here. So, Shawn, you born here in Florida, and Florida have majority the community, Brazilian community, people that they don't know I'm from Brazil. A lot of people don't know I'm from Brazil, but I am. So how do you feel when you see, because you born here and you see a lot of people from other countries, right? But Florida have a lot of Brazilian people, right? And how do you think about these people? Do you think they have courage to come to another country and not speak one word
so
in English like me?
I think, and again, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, so really the only people that were coming to South Florida really were Cubans, Cuban Americans. They were fleeing Cuba, fleeing Fidel Castro, so it was very common to run into Cuban people. But then in the 90s, late 90s, things started to change, and then you start to see a lot more Brazil, and Venezuela, Colombia, and then these other countries. And so you see, the cool thing about it is you see that they have their little communities, right? So in Miami, Hialeah, it's all Cuban, right? But then as you come a little more north, Aventura, that area,
Brazil.
you have, mix, Brazil,
Russian.
Colombian, Russian, Ecuador, Argentina, whole mix there. But then as you come a little more north, Fort Lauderdale, it's like more Brazil, like Brazilian. Fort Lauderdale, Pompano, Deerfield especially.
Deerfield. No,
Yes.
Pompano is more.
Pompano, Deerfield. They're next to each other.
Yeah.
I mean, like you can go some stores and it's Brazilian
Yeah.
name in the front, So I don't know why Brazil, but, they like Pompano and Deerfield for some reason, Brazilians. So I like it. I enjoy it. I have a girlfriend that came from Cuba. She came, on asylum, and the things that she went through is incredible, like out of a movie. Man, I don't know that I could have done that, but I guess if things get so bad in your country that you're willing to risk your life to come to this country, United States, it must be pretty bad. So for me, I respect anybody that comes here and wants to start a new life, and you included. I see people come and they start businesses and they're successful and they're doing whatever they want to do with their passion, and passion will take you wherever you want to go.
Exactly.
You know,
right.
it will.
Thank you, Shawn. I want to say thank you so much for you be here with me. And I appreciate so much your help, because you know my English is limited like a little bit, and I don't speak too much English, but I understand everything, almost everything. And thank you so much. You helped me a lot, and I know he helped a lot of people at home, because we want to understand better how this taxes really works. And thank you for teaching us how to pay taxes in the United States.
Absolutely, baby. Thank you as my friend, and of course, someone that I've seen grow over the last 2 years. It's really cool for me to be here sitting in this chair talking to you on your podcast and just seeing you do what you love and your passion. And it's very fun, very cool to see that. And thank you again for having me on the program.
Thank you, Shawn. Thank you. Bye, guys. See you next podcast with No Filter every Sunday. 8 p.m. here in the United States and 9 p.m. in Brazil. Okay, see you guys. Bye-bye.